Hello friends, how are you today? Let's do a quick review of the changes in the Schumann chart. Then I'll discuss the energy of the chart. And then I want to get into an inspired energy topic. Well, this is the chart today, and you can access this chart as well on my Twitter page. My Twitter page is Susan Inspired, and on it you can actually download or make copies of these charts if you wanted to have them for whatever reason. And then on days when I don't do a video, but actually usually every day, I'll put commentary directly on the charts so that you can kind of get a couple minutes of, information or insight or analysis into charts. I do the chart movements here, and then I do the energy on this spectrogram page, and they're downloadable. If you follow me on Twitter, I generally try to follow almost everyone back, and if someone's account is private, I normally just leave it because it's private. But if you wanted to follow me, ping me. If you wanted me to follow you and you have a private account, ping me. Okay, so here are the key chart changes. Now, the big key effect in the chart has been this incredible blue all the way through the chart, okay? And we had a couple of these really interesting lines here. We're going to look at those more clearly. And then today, this huge wave of white resonance. And what's been continuing a little bit more in the chart this morning is this kind of what I call bridging, the reddish, red, white, and yellow bridging creates kind of like a scaffolding structure like we've talked about in a recent chart. A couple key things to note on this chart. We still have these little, I'm calling them splinters at about 25-ish hertz, but they extend from about 25 to 27 here, and then, they may be under here, we don't know. But they've been periodically showing up daily still. The line at 20 hertz has faded quite a bit, but still shows as a solid line. It was interesting, these images here, this one almost looked like kind of a skull. I'll go into it more later, but these were some interesting, I thought, images here. We don't normally see this lower hertz aspect of the chart have these kind of, have this kind of form where it almost appears rounded up here at the top. And another key element here is that the chart today is highlighted through almost all hertz ranges. It's pretty amazing. This is the second time we've had this in, I'd say, maybe a week, but it's phenomenal. It's just phenomenal. I know. I'll talk about energy in a second. I was going to get into that, but stay focused here. And then now this is really interesting. This line here is almost pure purple and magenta, turning blue and green towards the higher hertz. There was also, let's see here, this line again that looks like, I described it almost like a DNA feel to it, like a curling. You can almost feel a spiraling effect in this line. And then these have always felt like where they go do 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 like that. These have always felt like kind of transmissions into the environment. And then here, this is really fascinating because the colors in this, I'm just going to expand it here for a second, but you can see this is the common theme, like a gold and then a burnt orange throughout the whole chart. There's a little bit of purple, but as we go down further in the chart, the colors are very, very fall, like autumn type colors, like in here. You get these gold oranges and kind of burnt orange or burnt sienna colors. And we don't normally get that in the chart. And so I just, that just seemed really to stand out to me. So these are the key chart changes, and now we will go into Schumann Resonance Chart Energy. Okay, so I think the key energetic effect here is this, and I want to explain it by talking about dimensions. But the first thing is I wanted to talk about the effect on me personally, because maybe some of you relate, and over the last few days, because it's been about 4 days, full days since I released a video, and I had planned to do it literally 4 days ago, 3 days ago, 2 days ago. But I've been going through something, and I'm gonna just talk about the energies rather than going into detail. But this morning I woke up and it was amazing. I just felt so like refreshed, energized, and alert. And it didn't surprise me when I looked at the chart. Of course, I looked at it last night and seen just the beginning in the middle of the night of this, but that there was a continuing effect of, you see here, you basically have, now this is infra low here, so this is 0 to maybe 0.5 of a hertz or so, okay? But beyond that, the rest of the chart is lit up pretty much fully. I mean, here it's, it's almost all the way to 40 hertz or beyond, right? And then really there's just, a small number of places where there's no action on the chart. And we once again are getting now this is right in here, this is your very high beta brainwave hertz levels, okay? So coincidentally, the chart happens to cover the range of hertz that also reflect the hertz of the human brain waves, okay? And this is very high beta here, where we have complex thinking, integrating that complex thinking into our life experience. Like we're getting it, we're integrating it. And here, where you saw a lot of activity, is you're into the gamma hertz brainwave levels of hertz and beyond that, okay? And the chart does appear to go beyond 40 hertz today, especially in places like this. So at this level, we've engaged our spiritual connections that are able to be accessed through the brain, okay? So we've got everything accessed from the high spiritual, analytical thinking, even all through, now down even in here. This is very close to 0, in my view, is more of an autonomic brainwave functions, okay? But there's overlaps in here, okay? As you move up, then into the unconscious, into the subconscious, into the intuitive sort of dream state where you can do lucid dreaming and that sort of thing, and then into the alpha waves, which is going to be more around here. So you can see that at every level, the energy has pinged us. Now, how you experience this and how you apply this is going to be different for everyone, but full activations and awareness of whatever is going on for you is possible. So whatever is going on for you in your life, it's my view that you have this sort of expanded set. It's like you're gifted. It's like we're gifted an open book of all of this potential information that could be of beneficial use to us. And we can use it as we wish, right? We can use these energies as we wish. So in the background, before this happened, okay, we had this clear blue, and I'm going to talk about this during the Inspired Energy segment, okay? And then you had some activity here in the lower hertz, but like I said, this was the most interesting thing to me because it looks like a human head almost, but a strange one, right? The right side, if it was a skull, the right side is lit up. It almost does have like two sections of the skull for the two halves of the brain. The area where you'd have eyes, nose, there's sort of a line in front of the eyes, an opening here where the mouth would be somewhere in here, and then the chin. I think that this probably would say different things to different people. This could be anything from an android to visions we're having in our unconscious influences, attempts to communicate with us that are either positive or negative. It depends on our personal experience. And I want to credit Alex for this. She said, I think this fall colors, when I talk through this with my friend, this fall colored line of energy here, and she said, I wonder if it's the earth elementals, and that really resonated with me. Support from Gaia and nature in the environment that we have access to. And I know that I've been doing that a lot lately because what I put on the last chart, let me just show you. On yesterday's chart, what I wrote was that there's a divine influx sent to support us, and at the same time, there are offers to step off the path. Now, when I interpret the charts, I'm looking at the energy and what the numbers represent behind the charts, the frequencies, amplitudes, and qualities. And I didn't go into that very much yet today. But in my view, life is about spirit, the spiritual as much as it is about everything else. And that's what really brings meaning for me. So the divine influx would be, for example, this line, which is also on today's chart. And it's incredible. I want to show you see the purples? Okay, but I want to show you from the first, when this line first appeared. Oh my goodness, the colors were, look at this. Look at these colors. It was just amazing. And so when I talk about divine support, and see, look how deep into the unconscious this goes. And in my view, the connection with spirit is not just, with the spiritual, is not just in the high gamma. It's also from the autonomic and deeply unconscious, okay? So these are like, in my view, at this level, this is my personal view, this is where you're getting impulses from soul, okay? And so when I see something like this, it looks to me almost like it emanates from soul and then comes out into our environment. And look at these almost royal colors, royal blue, okay? I mean, look at this gorgeous color, royal pink, that gorgeous pink. These, the royal purple here. And look at that, isn't that gorgeous? Wait till you see the magentas coming up. Look at this, oh my goodness. And surrounded with this incredible deep blue. Now, check this out, okay? Okay, now there's some vibrating out into the environment here off of this line, which is like a divine influence. Oh my, look at this. Look at this. Gorgeous, right? And then what happens? Let me see where, I've got to find it here. There we are. Okay, so check this out. We get offered an alternative path here, okay? And a lot of some of these little, I call them splinters. It's interesting what they're tracking. I explained on my last video, which is linked below, I explained how there was an interdimensional effect, and on the charts at the end of January, beginning of February, and it was reflected in the splinters, and I showed how that worked on the chart. But here what you have is what I call, this is a false light, like an offer of an alternate pathway. Here's the divine support, okay, that is offered to us in our environment, okay, and stuff like this as well. To me, this is do. These are transmissions into our environment that we have the ability to have access to this energy. But alternatives are offered also, not just because this is a free will choice planet. We were gifted free will by our Creator, okay? But because there are those who have their own agenda and they create these offers and say, hey, want to follow this? So there's multiple things going on there. And then there's a third effect as well, which is within us, the choice to follow what we perceive to be in our highest good, or how we're guided from within, from our conscience, from our spiritual guidance, etc. Or the choice to say, screw it, I'm going to go this way instead. Try it out. Okay, so and I'm just going to bless that with a sacred flame. Okay, so let's just look at it a little bit more closely here. So you have the gorgeous, offer of the divine. And the interesting thing about divine energies is that it's up to us to choose whether or not we're going to receive them. Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? A lot of us block off receiving. We want to give. It feels good to give. It feels good to see people's reactions. But if we don't also receive, then I'm just looking at the hook of this energy. Do you see this? See how there's a straight line and a hook in to this line of energy, okay? Gosh, it's so perfect. It's kind of just what I was just talking about. Okay, if we have if we only give, we're essentially hooking into others through giving for our source of supply, when that's easily available to us, offered clear and free, no loan, no payback from the divine, just a pure offer of this is for you, unconditionally, without judgment, with full support for your highest good. So gosh, that's so perfect to see this little hook here. And unhooking energetically is an important part, in my view, of boosting one's own inner true frequency, our soul connection, the true essence and the truth of who we are. The more that we're hooked in with others, the more that it drains our ability and uses our energy. Now, on YouTube, on the channel, I was asked how amplitude, the amplitude information in the chart, how that would express through the human energy field. Well, if my energy is hooked in, okay, to another person's energy, what it essentially does is, in effect, it lowers my amplitude. It lowers my energy. Now, let me be clear. I'm not talking about being a loner or not having relationships, okay? No, that would be a misinterpretation of my discussion. What I'm talking about is being whole unto oneself. Let me explain through imagery here. Okay, so if I am hooked in to someone else, okay? Hooked into another person's energy. Okay, here we go. I just need to take a minute to create this. This is me, okay? And I'm feeling like I need a source of supply, or I need something that someone else has. And for whatever reason, I've hooked into their energy. Now, if I only give, maybe I need to feel superior. If I only give, maybe I need a source of joy, and that comes from me seeing someone else be joyful over receiving. But I'm secretly receiving here, okay? It's surreptitious, it's hidden, because I've attached a cord to this person, a hook, like the energy hook that I showed you from the Schumann. And behind the scenes, and usually unconscious to me at first, I'm draining that person of some level of energy. And this is most obvious when it's negative. If this person here is a narcissist draining another person as their source of supply, that can be much more obvious when it's in the negative. It's when we think we're being good or that we're I'm only of the light, that we can fool ourselves. And so the path gets more and more subtle, and the path gets more and more in a place where we are asked to consciously imply our integrity to and to bring the light of transparency to what is really going on in this situation. What happens is if I feel that I need a false light, okay, whether that is me contriving to suck that energy off of someone else. Now, this is a hypothetical, okay? I'm just using that word "me" as an example right now. And then because I choose not to do that in my personal life. And it takes a lot of work, actually, to unhook all the subtle hooks. A lot of them are, they come out in fear or they come out in anger. That's what pushes that energy out of us and then grabs onto someone else. It could also be something else. It could be a place, a person, a thing, an object, money, whatever it is, ideas. So when we don't feel that we have access to our inner light inside, okay, if I feel empty or I'm uncentered or whatever it happens to be, and I don't feel the inner light inside, then I'm more likely and inclined to do this. Now, the fact of the matter is that I have all of this within me, okay, through my connection with the divine. So this energy here in the Schumann, this is what I'm saying. Stick with me here. Some amount of what is represented here it's not outside of me, okay? It's a reflection of what I'm a part of what is in me and in more broadly in the human collective. So I have access to my own supply of energy, and that energy ultimately is through my own soul connection from my own soul, okay? The spark of light of the Creator that I am, God the Most High, the Creator of the universe, okay? That is the pure source energy that supplies me. I'd like to talk about the concept of dimensions here. When I looked at this morning, I thought, is there a gates of heaven aspect to these images? Because they're looking very, very long and extended, these waves of light here. And I thought, nah, but then I lifted my vision for a moment. Okay, so I went into more of my clairvoyance, energetic vision. And what I saw was that, in my view, this is an extended gates of heaven. In other words, the gates of heaven image that often shows up in the chart, when it shows in its fullness, it reflects a higher dimensional energy or celestial type energy that we have access to in our lives to support us. But what happens when we have compressed, okay, into dense states of emotion, of thinking, and we're having trouble getting out of those? Is there no help to be had? Well, I think what's happening here is that the gates of heaven have extended, lengthened, and elongated through the frequencies. And this is a reflection of this creation energy, this expanded energy, which brings enlightenment to us in whatever way that benefits us in our lives, okay, individually. That energy in this chart, it's reaching down through the dimensions. And when it does that, the images warp and extend. It would be like if you're looking through water at an object, especially if the water is moving with waves. The object to your eyes is going to look slightly different. It may be slightly different shape. There may be sort of waves as part of the impression or flecks of light. Okay, so it's going to be shifted slightly because you're looking through water. Okay, so here in the chart, I believe what we're doing is looking through density. And we don't have a scientific way to measure that. And so the numbers don't make sense or apply here in terms of how I'm interpreting the image right now. But when you look at the physical image, and in my beginner playlist, I've explained how I think humans are involved in creating these, and the planetary effects, and what images mean and why they're important. So I'm kind of going from that. You've already heard me say these things. You can look at the beginner playlist if you want more information. So I'm getting into an interdimensional concept here, that the image itself is showing us through the color of light through the level of the resonance's frequencies at times, but not always, through the shades of the colors, through the presentation of the images, that we are able to perceive interdimensional effects. And that's pretty cool. Okay, so yeah, isn't that awesome? So I want to talk about energy in general right now. You know, we have moved through a period of the chart being very, very blue, very solidly blue. And to me, this represents a connection with the 0 point. So there's 4 points I'm going to make here, and this is one of them. In a way, this blue represents, in my view, the way the chart has moved over the last sort of 3 to 4 weeks. We were in a period of a lot of inner activity, agitation, etc. Then we had a big wave of light. Then it went blue, and now we're in this new kind of extended wave, extending and elongated, in my view, through the dimensions. So to me, what's happened is that we've gotten stirred up energetically, number one. Number two, we moved to a space of calm. And I'll be honest, the last 4 days, I have been completely focused on recentering. And in a way, I've been using that blue energy, you could say, okay? So, or has that blue energy reflected my feelings and my intentions? See what I'm saying here? Maybe the human collective has up-leveled and desires a connection with this space of inner calm that all human beings are able to achieve. Whether that's a 0 point, a state of prayer that you can bring that feeling of being in prayer, but being in that, living your daily life, or that meditative centeredness, but being in that, living your daily life. So my second point is that people talk about a separation of worlds, but I've got to tell you, it's been a few years since I have seen it that way. To me, we're not at that state any longer, but I happen to be usually ahead of the curve in terms of my energy perceptions, because I usually am looking at energy from the higher dimensions. Now, I'm in agreement that over the last few years there have been beings, types of energies that have moved out of the Earth environment for various reasons. But to me, what's important to me as a human being, and from the human collective standpoint, I would suggest that there's a shift going on that's more of a personal level. And despite what all the media is saying, that the personal shift is what's most important, and it is starting to get reflected in the outer world. But this personal effect is about the integration of worlds. And in truth, it's about the integration of the self, the human self and the soul self, within the living human physical body. There is no separation between those two things, okay? Because my soul incarnated as a human being and is talking to you right now through the use of the human mind, the voice, the sound box, the physical body, my heart beating, all the chemistry and biology that's going on at the moment. And do I remember everything? What it's like to be pure soul? No, I don't. I get flashes, okay? So I do my best, in my view, to connect, to live that embodiment And it's been tough the last 4 or 5 days, but the divine offer has been there. Come with me, align with me, be with me, be me, okay, embody me, okay, from my soul, from my soul, from my soul, from my soul. It's like a pulse, pulse, pulse. The integration of the self is also about integrating our shadow and our light. And that's what I was talking about earlier when I gave the example of, only giving, okay? And the different ideas we can have about that. It's the subtleties of finding where we're still unconscious and where there's still a shadow element in the way that we are living mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. The reclaiming of the self is the integration of worlds. And I'll tell you, this is why I do not use the word fractal. And I know a lot of people that I love and respect do use this word, and I appreciate how and why they use that. For me, my focus is on integrating with the whole within me, okay? Because am I a reflection of all that is, and is all that is all part of the great oneness at higher spiritual levels? Yes. But if I, in this now moment, was wanting to do that, I would be an angel. But I'm not an angel right now. In the moment where I'm speaking to you, I am a human being. Now, of course, I'm also an angel in the higher realms, because that part of me that is soul exists forever, right? So she's still up there, or he's still up there. Anyway, back to the human world. There's something that's come up for me lately that I've had an interaction with, and now this is my third point. I wanted to bring up the concept of hatred, and that might seem like a weird topic to bring up today. The intensity of the emotions that people are going through is extreme, because with the level of light, even if, now see, people think when the chart is pure blue, I notice I get, less interactions, sometimes lower views. Here's the dog coming to check out the blue, okay, so he's onto it here. But the blue can be as intense, the pure blue can be as intense as the waves of white resonance. And why is this? The reason why is because it invites us into a place of centeredness, of calm and stillness. So even when we have these, whether it's the white waves of energy or the blue, okay, when we move from the energies being like this, all lit up, okay, we walk that path. And then suddenly we're in an environment where everything is pretty cool and clear, okay? And there's, sort of either minimal activity or what looks like, this looks like clearing and just awarenesses, okay, of shadow elements, or where we've been unconscious and we've brought light to it. This can be as challenging as this. Why? Because I'm sitting there and I'm in a place of stillness, and suddenly it comes up, okay, I'm angry at so-and-so. I feel these feelings towards another so-and-so. This thing just happened in my life. This shocking event just grabbed my attention, okay? And so when the energies present, okay, when there's an opportunity for space, a space of stillness, whether that's in prayer, meditation, pure energy, 0 point, all of this coming up for me in my field, because it will step forward to me in this light of calm, stillness, and transparency. And then I get to decide if I want to address that, if I want to address the emotions, the thoughts, the activity, the action, and decide what I'm going to do about it or not. And sometimes that just means sitting in that stillness until we become clear about what is even going on. So I wanted to give you an example of something and about how we can use our creative power. The creative power of the soul within us, our divine source and supply, follows where we lead, okay, because of our free will choice, until we make a conscious choice to align our will with that part of who we are, the greater part of who we are, if I could say that. I mean, but being human is great too, but the divine aspect. So I was having a conversation with someone. It was not a session, it was just part of my daily life. And the person started to express some extreme hatred. And extreme hatred and speaking words of creation with that hatred. And now I'm going to call in Archangel Michael and the sacred violet flame of transmutation, because I'm just telling a story, and I'm not my intent is not to transmit any energy, but just in a sacred space to let that energy transmute, and just tell a story. And I have transmuted the energy, but because I'm telling the story and it may ping on people or even ping on me while I'm telling it, I like to have that energetic setup to transmute energy back to a state of neutral in alignment, because I want to align my will with divine will. Okay, so back to the story. Now, I know, okay, that my intention is to embody soul this way, and I can feel when I'm very connected. The thing is that when you embody a higher dimensional state like this in the human physical form, it's important to remember that creation is a lot faster. And this is the tricky part of that false light being offered. What that tricky part is that, this is done by other people. This is done by other people, sometimes intentionally and sometimes unintentionally, okay? A lot of times it's unconscious, but if a person is speaking to you and has chosen to align with a dark force, then a lot of times, that force is aware of your creative power as a human. So the person was speaking, and as soon as they said these words, I stopped them immediately, and I said, I consent to what you just said. I am making it clear right now that I do not agree. Okay, and why did I do that? I did that because I'm firmly committed to creating in alignment with the divine as it chooses to express with me in co-creation with me, and as I receive the impulses for that. And this person's hateful creation is not a part of that in me. Okay? Now, if I think on it, if I emotionalize about it, if I feel into what they're saying, then there's an opportunity for my soul energies to begin creating in there. And the fact is I choose to be very careful. And the reason why is because honestly, look, I'm practicing, okay? I'm a human being that makes mistakes. And so I really want to bring a steadied, thoughtful approach to how I interact, okay? Now, I have also had people, and going back years, intentionally attempt to cause me to create in my energy field. So I'm already aware of this, okay? And have been working on this for years, claiming back my creative ability purely 100%, okay? So what happened? The person again expressed their hateful words. Okay. Now this is different than being in a session and having a sacred space and all the things that go around, protections around that. But I don't allow this in a session either, and I'm very clear about things like that. But there are ways to transmute energies and feelings, okay? It's okay to feel your feelings if you're angry, and that's what this person said to me. Well, I'm angry, and I get to feel my feelings, and I said, sure, you do. But I will not, so this is the second time. I said, look, I am holding a higher dimension, I'm expressing in my body and my energy field a higher dimensional state of energy. And with you continuing to express this, I've already said, I do not consent. I do not want to use, I will not use this creative energy that I embody for the creation that you just expressed. I will not do it. I'm being clear with you right now. I will not do it. Stop talking about this. And as you can imagine, they did it a third time. Now, once they insisted on doing it a third time, it was clear to me that they were allied with a dark force, consciously or unconsciously. And now this is a person, okay, who is normally very, very prayerful, very close to, feels very close to God, but the emotions overcame them, okay, and a long, traumatic triggering had happened, okay. And what do I want to say here? That person is probably not aware, but I am aware that spells happen in threes. Now, there is earth magic and energy which is done, that is honoring of the earth, that is done in threes as well, okay? And that's not what I'm talking about here. But there are dark forces spells that are done in threes. And as soon as the person said it the third time, I said, look, I won't talk about this with you. I do not consent. I will not agree to this creation, and I've got to go. Okay? And I ended my interaction with them. Now, why am I telling you this story? I'm telling you this story because of what happened next. Oh, God, I felt out of sorts for a couple days, and I kept my intentions, okay? It was very disturbing, this experience, but these things happen. I mean, we're human beings. We run into these kind of things literally all the time, don't we? In varying levels of degree. We have interactions with people. Sometimes they're aligned, and they're emitting, they're in a resonant energy that you are in, and sometimes they're not. And sometimes a person's triggered, and they're acting out, or they're projecting, and that's okay. These things happen, all right? But what's important is that I set my boundaries, right? Because I honor the soul that I am as well as the human that I am. Now, what happened was I didn't get back into balance until I realized something important. I was clearing my energy field. I was disconnecting any hooks. I was, either that I had out or that were into me through, unconsciousness. I was continually reviewing my field, but I missed one thing. And it's so funny because, once in a while I remember a practice that I've done frequently. And that's what happened. Suddenly, I realized that I hadn't checked in on the extent to which I was embodying my soul's energy in my human form and in my energy field, okay? And in this image here, to me, the lion is the soul, okay? And the woman is me as a human being. And this gorgeous, beautiful soul, okay, that is the truth of who I am. Honestly, it submits itself to me. It gives me its energy unconditionally, without judgment, for me to use as I wish. But my soul knows, because of all the chats I've had with it, with her, my soul knows that I do not wish to create in that kind of a harmful way where it's out of alignment with what I perceive as the highest good, okay, from being aligned with divine will within me. And so what had happened? The soul that I am drew back from me. So let me show you. What I want to explain is that the soul is how I perceive it. Okay, if this is me, the soul is like behind me. And really it's emanating from my heart. It's emanating, enlivening my whole physical body and energy field. It's in here. But it's as if this is what happened. And now there's an interdimensional aspect to this that I am going to explain to you soon. Not only did the soul, it moved away from me. I made the lion smaller so I could move it right now, okay? It moved away from me so that all I was left with was the memory of that. Actually, maybe I should put it over here. Yeah, this makes more sense. Okay. All that I was left with, okay, I remember, okay, I want to connect with my soul right here. But my actual soul moved so far back from me. And why did it do that? And I love how I ended up creating this because I was trying to cover the lion. This is like interdimensional movement. My soul moved back through the dimensions away from me. And why did it do that? It did that because it knows that I don't want to use its energy to create from hatred, and that's important to me. And because I was having trouble, okay, managing through the situation emotionally, mentally, the feelings in my physical body, the thoughts my mind was generating, it was challenging, I'll be honest. And so it drew back from me. Why? Because I made it clear, both in the conversation and in the past with my soul, that I choose to create from a different standpoint as I'm impulse through divine will through me, okay? In alignment with my highest good and a whole bunch of other energy parameters that I've set. And so my soul honored that. And that's why I felt so out of sorts. I was trying to reach my soul. I was trying to feel where is that energy? I don't feel right anymore without that connection. Okay, I feel out of sorts. It doesn't feel good. But I was feeling the interdimensional shift, okay, energetically, the out of sortsness, all going through all these layers to get to my soul. Okay, I couldn't do it from the lowered energy state I was in. Okay, more of a fourth dimensional and third dimensional state, a more compressed energy state within the physical body. So what happened? As soon as I called my soul frequencies, I realized this. Okay, I realized it mentally, emotionally. I had already cleared many times. Emotionally, mentally, energetically, spiritually, physically. I'd taken care of myself, but I called my soul's frequencies, my soul energy back to me through the heart soul connection in the heart, and bam, it was reignited. In its fullness. We were together again, and it was an incredible experience. And it was a humbling experience for me. It's so humbling to experience the soul, the aspect of divinity that we are. When we have those moments where we can see how much we are loved, how much the divine wishes to consciously interact with us, it's so beautiful, and it's humbling, and it's joyful. As soon as I called the soul energy back, the feeling of the interdimensional layers was gone, the feeling of being out of sorts was gone, the memory aspect was gone because it was alive in me again. So what is true victory and what is valor? In our human world, we have many ways of expressing bravery. We have many ways of expressing victory. We can win battles. We can make achievements. We can create the most wonderful things with other people, from families to businesses to communities to all the various activities that we do as human beings. But in the end, it's my view that the true victory is a victory of the soul, the victory that we achieve when we welcome him or her back into our lives. And then in the physical human world, in the real world, we learn to live with this connection in a way that honors us both.